With the war against the Covenant over, do we even need Spartans? Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where we take trade paperbacks and single issues and we break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then we read it dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Now, a lot of you have been asking for comics about video games, and as we've said before, we do normally cover those on our gaming channel. We already have 2 other Halo comics there, along with stuff on Borderlands, Portal, and Mortal Kombat, just to name a few. So click the link down below or on the screen right now to go on over to our gaming comic books and variety content channel. Also, if you're wondering why this is here right now, well, I did a voiceover over on the Polaris Lore channel for Halo 5. Go check it out. We begin with a pitch from Musa, a Spartan 2, to the UNSC. The original Spartans, Leonidas and his boys, were taken from their families as children and turned into warriors. It's been 2,000 years since that happened, and we still talk about it. So maybe they did something right, and Dr. Halsey thought so too. So she kidnapped children from their beds and enlisted these Spartans to a life of servitude to the UNSC. But you all know that part. I hate that woman for what she did. She put me into this chair. But with Master Chief and the others lost in action, our Guardians are now gone. While the Covenant is gone, we know about the remnants of their armies building to fight against us. And even within our own colonies, we know of an insurrection building. We need some Spartans, so I made some. 3 months earlier, an admiral was trying to get some top secret materials out of the danger zone when he came under attack from the remnants of those Covenant forces. The admiral saw the cavalry coming though, but he began to wonder if they were too late as a brute hit the front of his warthog, flipping it over and throwing the admiral to the ground. That's when his cavalry hit the ground hard, as an orbital drop shock trooper pod landed in front of the brute. Out stepped Lance Corporal Sarah Palmer, ODST. She began laying into the brute with her assault rifle, and as his hammer came in to hit her, she jumped over it and shoved her rifle into his side, past his armor, pumping him full of bullets. He hit the ground, and Palmer turned to the Admiral, pushing him to the ground just in time to dodge the grunts and elites as they shot at the Admiral. Then the brute gets back up. Seriously? Palmer says, realizing she didn't kill him. She opens fire again and pulls the pin on her grenade, throwing it to the warthog nearby. Run towards the brute, Admiral, away from the grenade, she tells him, and they begin to run right at their enemy. You're insane, the Admiral calls out. Sometimes that helps, Palmer tells him. The grenade goes off, flipping the warthog and landing it right between them and the brute. They load up as the brute growls at them, and 2 needles get stuck in Sarah's chest. Frustrated that she got shot by a guy that she's not even fighting, she loads up and begins to drive the warthog out of there while the Admiral manned the gun. She ran over their enemies and got the Admiral out of there alive and well. But since she was shot, she went right to the hospital after this. Sarah Palmer was promoted to corporal and received awards for her heroism. But that's not the most important thing that came out of that mission. She got the offer to become a Spartan. There's a new breed of Spartan being made, one that would be normal soldiers but with enhancements, a Spartan 4, and they wanted her to lead the way. She signed so many documents that she forgot what they even were, and she went through 3 weeks of surgeries. They filled her bones with something to make them nearly unbreakable. Her skin was also injected to make it hard as a rock. Eye implants were given to her for night vision, and a heart weave that would allow it to pump harder, letting her run faster. Her lungs received a polymer allowing her to breathe methane, and they tweaked her stomach bacteria, allowing her to get more nutrients from food, and then they full-on replaced her pancreas with something that she didn't even recognize. As Sarah said, she's now a 26th century girl. 5 individuals went through the Spartan augmentation process: Palmer, Davis, Holst, Scruggs, and Thomas. They were the first of the Spartan 4s. It took them days to learn to walk again, but once they did, they quickly began to excel. While they weren't perfect and they still needed a lot of training, Musa and June, the 2 men heading up the project, pushed it forward, giving the Spartan unit its own battleship, the UNSC Infinity. But this is only the beginning of their story, because a group of insurrectionists got information on the top secret Infinity battleship, and they fully intended to take it from the Spartan unit before it can be properly manned and the security systems turned on. So as June was showing the Spartans around their new ship and they went to the armory, a woman led a team onto the bridge where they took control of the Infinity and all of its assets. The woman then goes over the comms and announces to the ship that she is Isla Zane, and she has locked the entire ship down, and it will be delivered to the Colonial Alliance for a high price. So everyone just sit tight, and if they try anything, she really doesn't care if she kills the entire crew. Palmer turns to the commander of the ship, Captain Lasky. Is there enough armor for us to suit up? Yeah, but the armor selection is limited to scout suits. That's fine, I don't need it to be fashionable, just functional. And she walks over, pressing the button. June tried to tell her that she wasn't cleared for combat yet, but she told him she's a Spartan, and it's time she acted like one. June then tried to warn her that she doesn't know what she's up against. No, I'm pretty sure I know. Crazy lady attempting Grand Theft Starship? That's not what I meant, Palmer. Zane is an original Spartan 4. Before we moved to armor enhancements, we tried to put all of the enhancements into the soldiers to make it so that they wouldn't need armor. 9 of them died, but Zane survived, and she became highly unstable. She was moved to naval intelligence. But Zane sees the Spartans suiting up, so she ejects all of the air off of that deck. They quickly put oxygen tanks onto Musa and June, and everyone realizes that they can't straight out attack the main bridge. Zane can watch everything on the ship and she'll see it coming. But what if they weren't on the ship? Palmer and Davis begin to move on the outside of the ship, while the other 3 Spartans stay to protect the VIPs and prepare to move through the main doors. As Palmer and Davis move on the outside of the ship, Davis comments on how beautiful it is out there, and how he wishes he had a jetpack. As they come around to the windshield of the bridge, they agree that they have one shot at this. So Davis will drop the 4 guys that Zane brought with her, and Palmer will focus on the superhuman main individual. They then bet who can get their targets first, and kick in the windshield. The initial kick sucked out one of Davis's targets, and then the ship put up its containment shields. Palmer began her battle with Zane while Davis handled the other 3. But in one hit, Zane knocked Palmer's helmet off, so Palmer had to get up and spear her in the gut, pushing her into the tactical table nearby. Meanwhile, the other 3 Spartans begin moving to the front door and prepare to provide support. Palmer takes Zane's head and she slams it into the wall, breaking her nose. But she still wasn't down, and she kicked Palmer's gun out of her hands. As Lasky made it to the main deck, he ordered the ship to lower its containment field and let everyone get sucked out into space. All of the Spartans and UNSC soldiers held on as Zane was sucked out into open space before the doors could be lowered again. And the first mission for the Spartan 4s was considered a success. Zane was picked up by someone in open space though. We now go back to where we started, 3 months after the Spartan 4 project was started. Musa demands, after all of the Spartan failures and losses, that the Spartan unit be allowed to operate as its own unit, not as Oni or Navy assets, but as their own branch. The Spartan branch. Because as Musa said at the start, we need to combat the oncoming darkness and aim for the dawn beyond. We need Spartans. So he made some. And that is the Halo Initiation comic book. It's a great little 3-issue miniseries, but it goes right into Halo Escalation. And if you want to get our first 2 videos on Halo Escalation, go check out our gaming channel, Eligible Monster. The link will be in the description down below, or you can click either one of the videos on the screen right now. I'm Benny for Comicstorian, and don't forget, we also did a little plug over at Polaris talking about Halo 5. I'll see you guys next time right here.